Right, so hit the record button. It's DJ Prism here. I've got my cat with me as well. He's a miserable cat, but
Oh, hello. What's the cat's name?
his name's
What's he?
Tigger. But at some point,
Tigger.
he's already angry. He's just going to attack me in a minute. So you just have to watch
Yeah,
out. Just go straight for the face as well.
my Stanley.
No, no, he's
Gone
gone.
off
He's
to
gone
sulk
already.
with
Off
mum.
he goes.
Oh, he's off. Yeah, so we're both cat free at the moment.
Yeah. But yeah, DJ Prism. This is Doug Pace. Is it V or is it 4? That's going to be my first question before we even get into interview
Yeah,
territory.
let's clear that up. Yeah,
Because
I shouldn't say really. I should just leave it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
You know,
keep it
it's
anonymous.
but it was intended as IV.
Mm.
You know, as in IV, like yeah. And that was because it's my old mum's name, Ivy. Yeah, it's just a
Got
bit of a
you,
tribute to her, really.
got you, got you. That
And it's
makes
sort of
sense.
stuck, really, and you can't. It's hassle to go and change stuff again, and then
Yeah.
I sometimes reflect back, and think probably should have just gone out under Duck Pace, but
I know. I think anyone that's got an artist name has definitely got that in the background. I mean, quite often I think to myself, why did I call myself DJ Prism? And then I changed the DJ bit to DEEJAY as well, made it even more
yeah,
convoluted. I'm like, what did I do that for? But
DJ,
run,
because
run.
I
What?
think what. Sorry, go on. I
So
think
what?
that's where a lot of people
Yeah,
go wrong. Like getting straight into the deep stuff. Like
yeah,
I think there's like because of the way the world is now, everyone's really, how do I word this sensitively? Everyone holds themselves in such high regard now.
mm,
It gets in the way of anything decent.
yeah, yeah,
Like the social media complex is like. s- So I find, and I've done it, and I only know this because I went there myself, like emotionally and like psychologically, and it's like, oh, like the dream. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to, and everyone's going to think I'm the bollocks, and it's like no one cares, and that's not
we,
about and
no,
no one cares about established artists.
yeah,
Like the people we care about because we're fanboys of it because
yeah,
it's our thing.
exactly, yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, and
but
that doesn't matter outside of that world. But if you if you early part of your journey trying to get somewhere, just that's what I was saying. Just don't get hung up on that. Don't get
mm,
hung up on where you are,
yeah,
what success you've had or not had.
yeah,
Uh, and it's going to kill your music at the end of the day.
yeah,
So
yeah. Would
I make my
or
tunes
your
because it's a release. It's an
it,
output for me.
yeah,
And if I found a massive group of like-minded friends with the label, and I
mm,
think it's changed what it is. Like they took away the money making aspect. There isn't a big vinyl market now. There isn't.
no, no,
We could do it. I don't get me wrong, but it's
yeah,
very niche.
yeah,
And I think it's just yeah. And I think that having that framework, it's taken a lot of pressure off me, Jonathan, because I think a lot of producers put themselves under pressure
yeah.
to output. And like I haven't written probably something for a year, and it ain't a problem. If that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, definitely. Definitely. It's funny you should say that about the pressure because a lot of people think that there is a huge amount of pressure about being signed or being involved in labels, but there really isn't in the the pressure is put on yourself, isn't it? Because I know that I was speaking
Yeah,
to Jen Stevenson about label work, and she was saying, "Oh man, I don't think I'd really want to get involved in anything like that because like I talked to Gaz and he's like, oh man, I've got to get this stuff and then I've got," and I said, that's
yeah,
personal pressure. That isn't. You don't have to have that pressure. You like if you want to have goals, you give yourself goals, and if you want to be
mm,
signed by a label, you
yeah,
choose to chase that dream, don't you? Do you know what I mean? So
mm,
and I think that's the reality of it. Is like you can make that journey go as fast or as slow as you want. If I go back years and years ago, I always thought I was just going to be this self-released, famous artist. I thought I was going to be like
yeah.
Cole Cox type big, and it just never happened. And then I kind of dipped out of it for about 10 years, and I came back and I was like, I want to get signed. Do you know what I mean? That was my goal. Then I was like, I want to get
Yeah,
signed.
but
I've
that,
got something
you
to
measure it by
contribute.
what you've been exposed to. But the
Yeah,
world's changed dramatically.
it
That
has hugely.
infrastructure
Yeah.
can't be supported anymore. So when they're kind of get your record deal, record companies are skin.
Yeah.
In the majority of cases, it's a passionate person, and like
Yeah.
Danny,
Yeah.
what the reward from that is just being able to chat to him and say like,
Definitely.
yeah,
Definitely. Yeah.
I can say that I'm friends with someone that actually did matter,
Yeah.
has got stories to tell,
Yeah.
but has got a massive amount of passion and energy for us lot
Yeah.
to facilitate us in our and there was, I think, some, you know, we got some great music on the catalogue as a result of it.
Yeah, definitely.
And we've
Yeah.
all kind of probably gone places and done a bit more than we probably could have just out on your own, you know, and that
Yeah.
on your own really, on your social media. Because like I say, there ain't the desire to press the music and sell it like there used to be.
No.
The events are very different now, you know. And
They
where you
are,
can
they
get
are.
to play, it's like it's of not great importance, if that makes sense. I don't sweat it whether you're getting bookings or not, and even if you are getting bookings,
Yeah.
it's not non-consequential. It's like, what are you enjoying doing it? That's what you should be
Yeah.
asking yourself.
That's the reality, isn't it? If you enjoy making
Because
music,
yeah,
nothing else really
because that's it.
matters,
I'm a
does it?
lazy artist, Jonathan. I love making it from the confines of my country home with my cat.
Yeah.
But I've got no desire to be on the rostrum and pushing myself as a
No,
DJ.
I do know
You
that
know,
feeling. I do know
it,
that feeling. And there's so many
yeah,
times where I've thought to myself,
even
really,
promoting
I should
myself
get
as an
out there and
artist
start
is
DJing more,
yeah,
and because I'm not,
yeah,
because I do have a goal, and my goal is to be like the jungle equivalent of C6 Steve. I want to go and do all the festivals for a couple of years and then fuck it off and retire. That is my
yeah.
plan basically.
But
But
yeah, that's your
you
goal. Well,
can't
my goal,
just do the festivals without doing the little gigs, and you've still got to build
yeah,
up to it, even on not on a public stage. Does that make sense? So
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I think that was always my goal actually. It's when I started really getting into producing, the end goal, and I think I would still have it gladly, even though everything we just said about record labels. If metalheads come knocking,
yeah,
for me that would be a personal accomplishment that
yeah,
I got the brief, I knew what that label was about, and the proof was in the pudding, so to speak.
yeah, yeah,
It may or may not happen. I'm not massively, but what I have learned from my own journey now is like, if you're really honest with yourself, you know if anything sort of that calibre or not. And I couldn't say that everything I've done is of that calibre. Maybe one or two, I think I could argue, but
yeah,
that's the thing. You're striving for that. It's when you can say, yeah, that one's worthy.
yeah,
You've accomplished something.
yeah.
But if you've got to be honest with yourself on that one, because a
Yeah,
lot of my
definitely,
stuff ain't.
definitely. Yeah, I think there's a lot of delusions that you go through when you're a learning
Yeah,
artist. You think, yeah,
yeah, you impress yourself with something,
yeah,
and
that's it.
therefore you
Yeah,
don't hear it in context. You
yeah,
hear it from your excited,
yeah.
proud perspective.
Well,
And that guy needs to be beaten up, otherwise you'll never
yeah,
progress.
exactly, exactly. I
Yeah,
was saying to Danny Jenk when we was talking, I was saying, I remember sending tapes to record labels during the 90s, and when I think back to that now, I literally cringe at the idea that I was sending a cassette tape, like at a time where people were sending DATs out, and
yeah,
the digital quality was already there, and I was sending out cassette tapes with like 5 tracks on it, going, this is me. This is what I'm making. Like using
yeah.
like a tape 4 track, Tascam tape four
Oh,
track,
see,
and
first mate, yeah,
and cool super drums from the 80s and cool synthesizers. Made some amazing sounds, but the quality was just shit. Do you know what I mean? And yet
yeah.
I was that brave about it. I was like, this is me. I'm passionate about this. This is my journey, and I was sending it off to labels. But you don't know what you don't know until you learn
But
all this stuff.
that's how you grow, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like you can't be at the end of the journey without walking all those little steps. No, definitely.
definitely, definitely. Shall I ask you a question off the list?
Yeah, go for it. Before
so,
I make us all stop ourselves.
so you've talked about guitar music, and that
Yeah,
will sort of
yeah.
feature in here as well. So how did you get into drum and bass or jungles, and what was the transition in that? Because you was part of a
Um,
band, wasn't you?
I was, yeah, and I think it was down to the times enabled facilitated it. I mean, the economic climate at the time. We're talking the 90s,
Yeah,
and I was born in '75, so my kind of the formative years for me of being a teenager, I was focused on guitar, and I had a group of friends. Like one played bass, one played drums. That was our band, as it were.
yeah,
But we also like used to go raving because if you remember back then,
yep.
there was integration between everyone.
It
You
was,
know,
yeah, yeah,
all identities came together because this music was fucking sick. And we were the same kids that united as younger kids when we saw BMX bikes
yeah,
and graffiti,
yeah,
and we thought that's fucking sick.
yeah.
You
It's
know,
true.
and it was the natural. That was our. You could tell that all that music was our birth of that. If you know what I mean,
Yeah,
like so these kids inspired by that. We're all just really like hi-fi enthusiasts, really. You know,
yeah, true,
because it's
true.
like I want to make music. Oh, I could use this hi-fi equipment. You know,
Yeah.
and oh yeah, you can use cigarette flares. So it was never like a completely alien jump to me. I always had, from that young point, I always wanted to have a go at that. I always wanted to do 100 million things as a kid.
Yeah.
I managed to get my hands on a guitar, so that manifested. And then I remember I got my first job when I was like 18, 19, worked at McDonald's. Like on the
Oh,
fucking grill, mate.
classic.
But, mate, it got me employment status, went to the local hi-fi shop, got in debt, bought two 1210s and a nice amp and some speakers, and then realised I didn't have a mixer, and then bought the cheapest thing I could into handy, and off we went. I was a clanging shit
Oh man,
DJ that didn't even
Sound
really get what it was for
Tandy.
years.
That was a shop and a half, wasn't it?
Yeah, and
Back in the
then
days, yeah.
I was still playing guitar at that time. Got a computer, yeah, mucked around with, got Reason. There's a little bit of always play guitar, but was musically minded, and yeah, was going to tinker with things that are happening.
Yeah.
And then nothing, and then I got married at a point, had kids, settled down, and everything went in the bin, mate. I mean, that was it. I was just like an NPC at that point, I suppose, is what you call it, for about a good 10 years.
Yeah.
And then the marriage dissolved for one go into reasons, but it was a wake up call, and yeah, I got back into music.
Got
And
you.
that's when I thought, right, I want to do this production. I think I want to do this production for you serious because I always like was going out buying the records,
Yeah.
and yeah, just had a passion for it. Used to go to Boogie Times down in Romford.
Yeah.
Used to Parliament Music in Hartford every Saturday. You know, you got to know like Rob Hay down there on my trio. He'd always have a
Yeah.
bag of records for me and a few other mates. It was just part of it really. And all the kids, or whatever they're into, we all had that comment. Everyone went raving at the weekend. Everyone was in, and if you weren't going, you knew people that were.
Yeah.
So, and it was just our culture. You know, one night of hanging out with mates, we'd be listening to Pink Floyd, and the next minute, oh, so we've got this tape pack from. We listening to old tape packs.
Yeah.
It's all part of a big cooking pot, really,
Yeah.
and you carry influences. And yeah, so it was guitar, decks, production, really, and with a gap in the middle. Of fuck all. Yeah.
I mean, that's it's a story that a lot of us have got, hasn't it? You know, where all of a sudden life grabbed us by the bollocks
Yeah.
and become a dad and do all this really sensible stuff, and then I think there's probably a big collection of us that have then come back out the other side of that and went, well, fuck that. What about these dreams I had? Let's go back to
Yeah. Yeah,
them.
definitely.
So
So yeah.
you've kind of answered my next question anyway, which is around DJing. So
Mm.
you DJ'd before you became a producer.
Yeah.
And what was your genre or favourite genres? Did you like you because you mentioned like the big boiling pot? Was you a techno DJ as well, or was it the old school of
No,
the
it
jungle?
was every set I ever did was drum and bass,
Got you.
proper whatever I'd got in my bag from those shops and whatever had stayed in my rotation as I loved to tune, you know, kind of
Yeah,
always building a set really. That's how it was, wasn't it? You kind of
yeah,
had your foundation tunes.
yeah,
And because of like the slow introduction of the music by however much you could afford, it was a
yeah,
slower trickle.
yeah,
You could really curate that into your sets. You know, something stayed the duration of your career,
yeah,
something came and went. And I love that. That was the organic way, wasn't it? But
yeah.
now you can go down and make 1,000 tunes and where do you start?
It's crazy, isn't it? £1.19 a go. When you think
Yeah,
about it, the digital journey is absolutely it's bonkers, really, isn't it? There's no reason
it
not to
is,
be able to buy whatever you want to buy in the way of music now.
definitely. And because of that, you know, that you just meet people, don't you?
Yeah,
And different levels of DJing, you know, I did like local things around, but I suppose the pinnacle of my DJing career was I took a career break between some jobs and just joined a sound crew and
yeah,
did all the squad parties and stuff.
got
And
you.
had, a year of that was amazing.
Yeah,
And I can say, like, I did, because we did the set, I started in the summer with them and everything was outside,
yeah,
beautiful, like
yeah,
proper hazy days where one day we were up in the mountains.
yeah,
Like, we had this one rave I remember that it was in like a quarry. I think it was like near Herefordshire somewhere.
yeah.
But it felt like we all thought we was on Mars. You know, and like, you know, and just because of the crew, you know, you get to know the different sound systems of different crews, you know, and
Yeah,
just
yeah,
the access to the chemicals we had access to were just like never encountered anything like it. So we were all on Mars for the best part of it. We were on Mars for that event, and
why not?
because it was yeah, we had the mobile rig, obesity crew that cool. So if anyone ever watching this remembers, we used to go frequent parties back in the what would it have been like? Yeah, the 2000s, early 2000s,
Yep.
five sort of time. So yeah, we used to run with them, and I used to play a lot of old school then, like but like the like jungle techno,
Yep.
the precursors to the drum and bass.
Yep.
Yeah,
Got yeah.
not
Yep.
the but the the breakbeat stuff.
Yeah.
But then we'd play all night, and it was yeah, very good times. But yeah, but the police came to that one, which was quite mad, and it blew over a stack of speakers. I remember like yeah having some MDMA and or having a bit of a funny turn, having to go and shit off on a dune, and then seeing people running up there when the police came. It was all messy. That was that. And then when we went to the inner city ones, that's when I really didn't start liking it.
Yeah.
You know,
They.
we were turned up a few events in Shoreditch, you know, and one of them, it was like this old, I think it was an old white, yes, college building,
Yep.
because you could see they had like, they were doing some training bricklayers in one room, but quite a lot of space. And there was quite a few sound systems all in different rooms. And it's soon turned nasty though. It got territorial
Yep.
because where we were, and like, you're stuck with a rig, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was yeah. I left DJing at that point, and I think that's probably what helped the precursor into yeah. I'll become an NPC now. Probably a bit of post traumatic stress from like a wonderful fucking year rounded off with quite a traumatic reality check about the free party
It's
circuit.
yeah. There's
Something can and can't go wrong.
exactly. There's a lot that goes on within the scene and behind the scene and underneath the
Yeah.
scene, and
Mm.
it's, I'm not going to go into the details of it because it sounds like we both know quite a lot of what happens there. But I think that's one for off the off the video, really, isn't it? But yeah, it's
But an eye opener,
it
you know,
is
it's not what
100%.
your everyday guy in the
No.
street's going to encounter or really
No,
be.
exactly. There's a lot of things within the music scene that link into what I think of as the underbelly, as opposed to like because you've got the underground music scene, and it literally links into this other realm, doesn't it? That where people
Yeah,
move stuff around within the sound systems and stuff like that, and you just don't know that it happens if you're just going there and
yeah,
listening to the music. You've got to see it at a deeper level and be more involved
mm,
in it before you can see that stuff happens, and then you go, oh my god, there's a lot going on here. It's not just
yeah,
playing music anymore, is it? So
yeah,
interesting times.
definitely.
But yeah.
But
um
interesting times.
yeah. So do you still DJ now?
No, that's the thing. I've still got my record collection, but that's at my dad's house. So
Yep.
yeah, it's not everything's kind of put away, you know, which isn't
No.
great.
Well, I mean,
I had a record box on my laptop, and I even got time coded violence for a bit. But yeah, just like when
yeah.
I live in a flat, just not practical for the amount of time that I do it.
No. Well, that's the thing.
You know what I
I've
mean?
got over the back there. I've got 1210s. I've got a controller. I've got all my
Confession,
vinyl,
mate.
which is
If I could do a set
underneath
for someone,
this sort of desk
yeah,
space here, and it's a great setup. I'm quite lucky in where I live and the space that I've got, but have I got time to actually use any of it? Not really. The spare time I've got goes into production, which is and quite a lot of sort of the background work that's going on with 24 Karat recordings, getting the schedule, keeping it moving
yeah,
along,
no, I appreciate it as
which
well,
is
Jonathan. Yeah,
and I'm enjoying doing that, to be fair, and it stemmed from when I separated from my ex-wife, and I was sitting there and I was just
yeah,
like, every day I was like, I've got to fill my day up, I need to do stuff, I just can't be sitting here thinking
yeah.
about stuff.
We that's you're going to be in a that's just you're in your productive bubble, mate, and this is it.
Yeah.
Just keep writing, mate, and you'll find. Like I think I said to you earlier at the opener, like the mark of the confession of this producer is I'm still living off of a pocket of tunes that were written probably going back a couple of years now, but I just wrote so much and I've
Yeah.
just been drip feeding it out and sitting on a lot of it to just you can hear a tune a couple of years later and really judge it properly, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to be honest,
Yeah.
I've noticed that I can think I finished a tune and go, yeah, I'm really happy with that, and I'll listen to it a load of times on the system, on the monitors, and it sounds sonically, it's good, it's got all the the
Yeah.
right bits in the right places, and then I listen to it a couple of months later and I go, could have done better with that. But it's already been released at that point or presented to a label and it's
Yeah.
been accepted, and I think to myself, well, the track's okay, but it's also very good to be able to sit there even a couple of months later and know that you can do better than that already, because that's not a bad place to be, is it?
I think that is said by a lot of people that we would admire at the end of the day. I think I think that's what I love most about the genre of drum and bass is it's above everything else. It's the pursuit of excellence. Ultimately,
Yeah, definitely.
it's like it's totally about the production values
Yeah,
and the vibe and the flavour.
yeah,
It's about like it's not you could argue tempo defines it ultimately, but no, there's a feel. There's
yeah.
just a feel to it.
It's not just the tempo though, is it? Because you can do anything from 160 up to, in theory, you could go up to 180, couldn't you? And it'd still be
Yeah, and you can
classed as
half step
jungle.
it as well, Jonathan.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
you're
it's
in
true.
hip hop, so
Yeah,
it's totally I think about it certainly has to revolve around the breaks,
yeah,
and then drums that are if not very well paired to well known breaks. I think all the tunes that matter, you've got to have a little bit of one of those breaks flavoured into there,
you
haven't
got
you? And that's
got to
what
sprinkle it in there, and
part of that
a little
excitement.
bit of it. Yeah, definitely.
808 basses, reach
Yeah,
basses,
yeah,
and there's still infinite ways they can be combined in
yeah,
original and flavoursome ways. I think
yeah,
you can go on the sound design quest, like trying to come up with this like bass that ends up filling up the entire spectrum. And
yeah,
at this point, you're not really, it's not drum and bass at that point. It's sound design with breakbeats behind it.
yeah,
Yeah, strip that bass ideas back. Really, it's got to have movement.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, definitely.
so
Definitely.
it's
I mean, I was thinking to myself the other day. I was driving back to Wales from a family event in Essex, and I was driving back and I was listening to loads of different stuff that just like, but none of my own music. I was like, right, I'm just going to
yeah,
listen to different stuff on the way back, and it got me really energetic. And I was like, oh right, I'm gonna make some new stuff. I'm not going to touch the arm and brake for the rest of the year. And then I came back and I opened my laptop and I was like, oh yeah, I need to do that remix with Danny Jenk. Was the first thing I do. Oh man.
hang on,
So
yeah.
it's just,
But
it's one of those things.
there's
It's
nothing
just
wrong with
like,
that.
no,
Though, like,
absolutely. And the thing is like I could make 10 tracks in a row, all with different edits of the arm and brake, and they're
yeah,
still all
and
going
even
to
just
sound
different breed
different.
processes as well.
Yeah, yeah,
I
because yep,
never use the same one because that's part of the fun. That's part of the hobby. Is like starting from scratch. Always start from scratch with the aim, and
yeah,
because that's where it gives you the opportunity to go in different ways
yeah,
rather than just reaching and dragging for the same. Like, it doesn't take that long to just
no, no,
load it up, slice it up,
edit
and
it.
then just try a different way. Right, I'll slice it up visually in blocks today as waves. Another time, I'll bother to load it into this like drum sampler tool so that each slice is on a pad.
Yep,
And you get those merits to different ways, and then you can lean into how that sounds and get different things. But
yeah, yeah,
and then playing with like the release and the attack to really get that really tight
yeah, yeah,
sort of sound.
yeah,
Yeah, it's all good fun and games, mate.
definitely.
And then you think, right, shit, I better write a track under this now.
I know. I spent 3 hours just sitting there twiddling knobs, going, "Whoa!" Yeah,
Yeah, but sampling, I mean, sampling is a massive factor, and I think
yeah.
that's another thing that defines drum and bass, and I think that's what delivers most of the vibe.
I'd agree.
It's those captured moments on look. It's isolating something, and which is all a sample is really.
Yeah,
And then when you repeat it in a way, it presents it differently to the listener.
yeah,
Yeah, if you hear an unbroken passage from a film, it means nothing, but isolate just one little snippet and loop it around,
yeah,
and it's the ability to find those. And I think it's not skill. I get a lot of credit for some of the stuff I do, but I swear I just fall into it accidentally
yeah,
with regard to all I'm doing is just finding something that sounds cool and then just forcing it to fit like some basic principles of music. Like, so whatever happens, this has got to be 2 bars long.
got you.
And then that's what makes it then work, if
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah,
And then the creativity comes in. Fuck it, I'm 2 bits short, so I know I could stutter this bit, or I could,
yeah,
or actually like this bit's off time anyway, so cut it there and then move it along. Like, where's its space? Where's it going to be? And the arrangement is key, Jonathan.
yeah,
And I think that's where the original you can keep coming up with new ideas, and there'll never be a point where we've run out of potentially excellent tunes that could be written fundamentally using the same colour palette of bass and drum sounds.
yeah, yeah. No, I'd agree because it's you can. It's like I've seen like loads of memes about like it's you know jungle memes where like people say like there we go is a junglist listening to the Iron Man break like it's the first time for the 5,000th time, but it is just like that because you can do so fucking much with that
It just
one
fucking
break.
smacks.
Yeah,
Just
it
nothing
does. It
smacks
does.
like it or ever has done
No,
since.
no, exactly, and it's like you can remake it. People have done that, haven't they? They've replayed
Oh
it
yeah,
on real
and there's been
drums,
some
on
good.
synthetic drums. There have been so
The
many different.
Trainman's a famous example, but again,
Yeah,
that's just it blending it with
yeah,
other excellent breaks that also
exactly.
slap.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I've got a folder full of them that I like to just open up now and again. If I think to myself, oh, what can I do differently? I'll just open up like this. So it's literally a folder that's just got OG written on the front of it. That's
yeah,
just
brilliant. There you go.
open that up, you've got all like your classics, all the James Brown samples, hot pants, which I try not to use hot pants very often if I can help it. To be fair, because it's just like that's
Yeah,
and copter, all of those classic
yeah.
breaks. You know what I mean? You think to yourself, I
The
want
fig
to.
break, I cane the hell
Think
out of the
break,
fig break.
yeah, that's a beast as well, isn't it? But it's such a short bit of work, isn't it?
It
Really,
is,
that's mostly used. It's just that little 2 bar bit that just goes,
definitely.
and then
And
you,
then you get like the separation of whether like are you a liker of the vocal sample or not. Some people find it a little bait, you know, the
yeah,
get whatever it
yeah.
is, but I fucking love it myself. But I think it can be overdone.
Oh,
Uh,
easily. Yeah. Well, I mean, if that's your main beat, and then that's just
yeah,
too much, isn't it? It feels that, isn't it? So it fits nicely there.
yeah, yeah.
I'm going to pick another one from the list of questions I've
Come
got
on,
here.
mate. Yeah.
So, you kind of answered this in a way already because you said about doing the like the underground party scene. So, like my
Yeah.
question would be like, what's your favourite event that you've been to? So you'd mentioned the one
Oh well,
at the
there,
quarry,
there is
but like,
something that was
yeah.
well, as in attended, as in like just to enjoy it,
Yeah,
or
either or. So either to just party or something that you've actually played at. Is what's been your favourite in
I'll
that?
give you both actually. So
Go on then.
the favourite thing, most recent thing I attended, is going back. Even this is going back a couple of years now. But Goldie played. I think it was XO. Yeah, XOXO up in London.
Yep,
So I went there with a few friends and the missus, and it was about the time he was doing the Timeless remixes, and Break
got you.
did the Inner City Life remix.
Yep,
And I remember we went there, and it was on a really good sound system there. I got to kind of bump into him and embarrassingly give him a USB. Never got a call back. But there you go. But still stopped, had a
yeah,
chat. You know, for me that was just like, yeah, I enjoyed that and was buzzing for a few days after that just for the music. And everyone there was for the music. You know, it was a very good night
yeah,
out.
yep.
And then as an event, it was last time I DJ'd out was an event called Community DNB, which was I can't remember the name of the venue now, but that was kind of a little thing that was running between a few labels. I think there's Gold Fat,
Yep.
Rebel Music were involved. Because I'm mates with Chris in Perspective, it's to do with his labels as well,
Yep.
Eloise and in Perspective. So yeah, and that was like probably like one of my favourite DJ gigs because you know it was actually to a crowd and getting to play some of my music, my more recent productions. So
Nice.
it was a recorded set as well, so I'll link up. I've got it on my SoundCloud for that particular set, so maybe that's something we could
Definitely.
attach to this interview, mate.
Definitely, we're looking
Yeah.
at definitely attach that. I'll put it in as a comment when it goes onto YouTube. These interviews are going to go up onto the 24 Karat YouTube at some point. I think
Yeah,
Danny's going to build a robot to.
that'd be cool.
Yeah,
We should definitely all try and work out an editor because who wants to listen to us middle-aged men unedited rambling on?
Oh well, cut them down to 20
We should
minutes.
get maybe we should try and get an AI to do it. Maybe we could upload footage on an AI and say, you know what, give us an edit, like
Yeah.
make us,
We probably could.
you know,
Yeah.
just highlight what we're about. But yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely do that for us. I'm going to go with this next question on here. So it's quite a good. Oh no, actually, I've got 2 questions that have just popped
Oh,
up
go
on
on.
me. Right. So the
Yeah, go on.
first one I'm going to ask, which is, who are your biggest influences in the jungle or the drum and bass scene? So who is it as a producer that really or as a label even, that really made you go, yeah, that's the direction I want to go in?
Methods, I think, really,
Yep.
and then things affiliated around it as well. And I'm trying to think for me, production wise, I find I can't help but love everything Fresh did for a time. I
Yep.
think it's really
Yep.
and the Bad Company boys,
Yeah. Bad Company. Yeah. Yeah. It's good.
yeah, the D Bridge and then but before that, like I think Mr. Parks, Photech,
Yep.
definitely, and Pesce around that time. I think anyone that
Yep.
was signed to Metalheads, like they were the they were the kids that were leading the way. Like so. I think that there's aspiration there. Massive admiration for Heist. Like you said,
Yep.
I've had some sessions with him. He's very very talented and very knowledgeable uh, producer and engineer. He's like,
Yep.
and he's got the connections. He's done the work.
Yeah.
And I think that was a worthwhile experience learning under him as well, mate. I mean, because I feel it really helped me understand how to get from A to B, cut out all the bullshit,
Yep.
and understand the principles of what this music, what it is now, not what it was, what it is now, how
Yeah.
it's made in the box. Just we're not fighting in the machine, we're not fighting the hiss no more.
No,
It's just a different
no,
game.
you're right. Yeah, because the sound quality is there from the get go now, isn't it? You
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
need to. You
The
don't need to
headroom as
spend.
well, mate.
Yeah.
Because we're
Yep.
we're dumping out, 44, high resolution.
Yep.
There's enough floating level there, really. Like anything horrible sounding in there is as a result of you being a twat
Yeah.
when you process your signal.
Exactly. You're putting the wrong stuff in if it comes out sounding bad. Um,
Yeah,
but in the same token, though, some of that stuff you got to learn. I know that some of the earlier tracks that I made, I thought they were fucking amazing at the time. And like some of them, like going back into the 90s, like in the late 90s when I was
yeah,
making stuff like with hardware, I loved what I was doing, but the sound quality was shit. But then when I started getting into making music on computers as well, I've got some remixes that I'd absolutely butchered that I'm so
yeah.
embarrassed about when I because I now and again I'll go through this hard drive and it's got all of these tunes going back to like 90, I think 95 and 94 is where it starts, and it goes up to about 2014, and there's a
You're
period.
blessed to have that. Right, I'd love to actually listen. I've listened to. I'm thinking back to like early 2000s having Reason. I used to muck
Yeah.
about without a clue, and I just can guarantee you that there's not one thing I ever did that probably had any frequencies below 200 hertz
No,
through sheer ignorance.
yeah, exactly. And I
Yeah,
was the same, and it's like
what tune
when
sounded like the proper tune.
I listen to it. I mean, I've done like a remix of Renegade Snares, which like is so fucking bad. It's unreal. It is so unreal, and I think to myself, I'm so
Sacrilege,
proud of
mate.
it. And I
Yeah.
know, absolutely raped it. I did, and I was so proud of it at the time because it's a learning process. Because
Oh yeah,
for me, it was
you
the
got
learning of like cutting samples and pulling bits out of a tune. Do you know what I mean? And actually, because that
definitely.
is a big thing within the jungle scene. If you're making jungle music and you're not using samples or pulling a little bit from here and there, part of those classic sounds, you're not making jungle, are you?
You're not. You're making techno in a way. I think because I suppose it's like well, ultimately, equipment leads to the genres. I think like rock
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
that born of the electric guitar, really, if you know what I mean.
yeah,
And then synthesizers kind of created that whole Kraftwerk thing, and then samplers happened, the art of noise,
yeah,
and then the two sort of crossed over, really.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
I don't think synthesis ever really held its own in a band context.
Not massively, no,
I
no,
think
not
a
really.
lot of it, the progressions in musical technology was about instruments and collaborative musicianship and being in bands, and then they bring the sampler out. I think, and that's where it becomes something where, hang on a minute, I don't have to be in a band and argue with people all the
Yeah,
time about all our
yeah,
creative differences.
yeah,
I can just realise everything
yeah,
exactly how I want it
yeah. It's
for
true.
myself.
It's true.
And I think, and I'm, do you know what I'm trying to chase? I'm chasing a dragon at the moment, Jonathan. Maybe that's why I'm a bit quiet at the moment. I love my drum and bass. I want to keep that going, and I love my guitar. I want to bring it into it,
Yeah,
but I don't want to do it because I don't want it to sound like what I can hear in my head, which is a horrible cliche. I want to find a way of playing guitar that actually is for the music, and I don't think
Yeah.
anyone's found it yet or invented it yet.
Um,
Just so
yeah, I
that's
think
my
it's a,
mission.
it's a hard, yeah. I've had quite a lot of tracks that have got quite a lot of
Yeah.
guitar
Well,
bits in them, and I've
the only success I've had is realizing when you have to reduce it down to the minimalist parts.
yeah,
It's about texture,
yeah, yeah,
you know.
yeah. I've worked with a few guitarists as well for the bits that I've used in the tracks that I've
Yeah,
made. And there's this guy over in America that's done loads of guitar work for me, and he said, "I'd really like it if you used more of the lead guitar." And I'm like, that's just not jungle. It's not gonna have
it
like.
just sounds like Apollo 440, and we can't ever do that.
It's not jungle. You've got to. It's got to be a sample of the guitar. If you start playing lead guitar for 3.5 minutes for a jungle
Yeah,
track, it ain't
there's
jungle
no
anymore, is
room
it?
for jazz in
No.
it, but then that said, it's about tastefully capturing it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and it's got to be right because I've sampled some very technical bits of saxophone and used
Yep.
it just once,
Yep.
and it just works. But it's just that one thing.
Yeah.
They go like, yeah, better.
Yep.
And then the echo does the rest of the work for you.
Yeah.
And it's that
Definitely.
little
Yeah.
snippet that then becomes the bit, yeah, that's a fucking vibe, that sample.
Yep. Yep.
But when
True.
you're the guitar man, yeah, you like say, what did you think of that 15-minute solo I sent you? Yeah. Yeah. I didn't even get 2 minutes in, bro. Fuck off.
Yeah, my youngest brother, he lives up in Scotland. He plays guitar as well. And there's been quite a few times I said, "Look, can you do some guitar for me?" And he sends it back, and he does a lot of like heavy distorted guitar as well. And don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
it's very good technical guitar. But it's I've then kind of layered the bits that I want to into a track, and I said, "That's what I've done with it." And he goes, "Oh, there was so much better guitar in there." And I was like, "Yeah, but it's not necessarily
Do you
about
know what?
what's the
The
best
thing to do with
guitar
him,
in."
you might have more fun if you swap that one on its head and say, I want to help produce and record your music.
Mm.
And just like, and it'd be really good to like be approaching this as an engineer at this point and thinking about how can I build this track around showing that guitar off. Because
Yeah,
you have to have a different head on the drums, 100%.
yeah,
Because if you do
true, yeah,
like jungle drums, it's only the guitar. And you will end up with that mess. But
yeah,
so yeah, give yourself that goal. Work
yeah.
work
It's a
with
good
him
idea.
and do like some actual like mixing desk proper
Mixing
engineering.
desk stuff, yeah. I'll have to go up to Scotland for that.
Yeah.
Right, my next question, which is right, radio stations. Have you ever done those?
No. Do you
No.
know what? The only thing I'd say with radio is, and a feature I've noticed on Apple Artist app is you can track radio plays. And
Oh
although
right,
I don't play the radio myself, you can see when some of your music's been played and picked up by Shazam and stuff.
got you.
So yeah, so I've noticed. So yeah, I can see that I get quite a bit of rotation on Live FM, Rinse come up now,
Oh right,
Flex
got you.
TV. So yeah, I think I've got a little bit of a presence on some of the underground shows, and for some reason I seem to do really well in Vietnam. So I'll dig out the details and have to
Yeah.
plug that radio station. I'm trying to find out, if there's any shows I can download because yeah, every week coming on the stats that they played quite a lot of that first album.
Yeah.
They so wide got rinsed for about 6 months. Like yeah, getting played about one station was playing it quite, about 20 times a week. So
It's
yeah.
alright, isn't it?
I haven't seen a penny off of it, of course.
No, I know it's
But
crazy, isn't it?
but I don't think anyone made any money other than that, for advertising stuff. But yeah, don't get started on that one.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Let's,
glad
let's,
Danny
not,
pulled
let's
this
not
off
have it.
first.
Yeah, I think we need to all just kind of agree that the money's not there anymore, is it?
It's not for the money, is it?
No, it's for the
Good luck,
music.
mate.
It's for the music. Okay,
Good luck.
so
Just enough to keep standing in treats. There you go. So that's what I learned.
what DAW do you use to produce music? Because you'd mentioned
I'm an
Reason,
Ableton
but
man.
Ableton.
Yeah,
Got
like,
you.
I love it. And it weren't what I started on. So like, yeah, it's 2017. Right, I'm going to do production. I'm serious about it. Buy a Mac. Right, Logic must be the way to go. Yeah, it's all right. I can sort of see. Well, I didn't really vibe with it, and I don't know why. I just maybe from what I was seeing in things in forums and that, I just felt compelled to try. I thought something I'm reading about Ableton seems it'll be like the one. and
Mm-hmm.
it's got all the algorithms for the time stretching and stuff like that. And I thought,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to go with this, and I say never look back. And then you realise they're all capable of doing the same thing, and I don't
Yeah.
think you can really hear the difference between them. But it's how it just the UI really works with how my hand and eye coordination works is probably the best way to describe it. Whereas
Yep.
Logic I found clumsy, but it's probably brilliant for other people.
Yeah, you're right in what you're saying there because I've used Logic,
Hmm.
but we're not. I've never actually produced myself on a Mac, if that makes any sense. But I've used it where I've worked with
Yeah,
other people. The doors that I've used myself, as in actually installed on computers, have been Acid Pro. You
oh,
may,
that's
may
really going back. That
yeah,
is,
going back
yeah.
some the first. I mean,
I couldn't even figure out how to use that because that's what I
it
got
was
back
all
that
the
time I had Reason
yeah,
and
yeah.
I
So
downloaded Acid. I didn't understand it, and
yeah,
then but I used to use was it Audacity? There was
Audacity,
like
yes, because they were
used to
Audacity.
chop all my samples in there and then
Yeah,
drag them into Reason.
yeah. But yeah, so and for me, like everyone used to say, like if you were a PC user, it was Cubase all day long. Everyone said no,
Yeah.
Cubase. You want to learn to produce, you do it in Cubase. Um,
Heist is still on Cubase to this day, and it has come along. It's a very good.
yeah, yeah. And
If I
Epic,
hadn't fully committed to Ableton, I probably would have gone down that route at the point I met Jim and started learning stuff. But I was too committed to Ableton, and at that point I could see, oh, you just do it in a different way. It's
yeah.
just, but it still did the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So the two main doors that I use are Reason and
Mm.
FL Studio, and a lot of people like over the years, it's always been like the underdog of doors to use, really, hasn't it? It's always been like, yeah, it's
Yeah,
a Mickey Mouse. You're not a real producer if you use FL Studio. But to be honest, that's absolute bollocks. If you can produce
mate,
a
there are
track,
some
you can
very
produce a
established
track.
people out there using it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, definitely, very established
Mm.
people. So like, and for me, I don't pay any credence to that side of things because ultimately, if you can make a tune in whatever door you're creating it in, if you
Mm.
if you can get it to a label standard, like a release standard quality, it doesn't matter what door you're using. Really, it's about
No,
how you do it.
it's and it's all digital audio, so
Yeah,
it's not like you can make arguments about different equipment and
yeah,
it's all ones and zeros at the end of the day.
exactly. Yeah.
It's the monkey driving
Yeah, definitely. So, what tips can you offer in a way of production? Now, you probably know this anyway
it.
because I've said it a couple of times, like in the 24 Karat group. But the drum processing that you do, when I listen to your tracks, I go, the drums are so fucking gelled together, and I know that there are samples used in there, but and I'm
It's
because it's like, so what tips have you got
There
on
is a little
production?
tip for that, and ultimately what it is, it's using soft clipping and using it effectively. So what I tend to do is once you're doing your production, you've got to think in your but you've got to know ahead about your buses. And
Yep,
I work with three buses. I've got my drum bus,
yep,
my bass bus,
yep,
and all the mid content essentially,
yep,
all the more airy stuff. And then by taking that approach, what you can do is I've pretty much got everything not going too wild. So I might have all my different layers of drums all working together. But then on that bus channel, I'll drive it up and I'll clip it.
yep,
Because all I'm doing is clipping it. But something about clipping that's different to the limiting, it just, there's that sweet spot where you can drive it really hard and it sounds fucking loud and hard
yep.
and consistent. But you can set the bar on it so you can dial it into a consistent -5 for every peak hit.
Got you.
Once you're dialed in like that, you're off. So you're always hitting that -5, and then it's really loud, it's really present, but it's not overly loud over everything else. It's just
Yep,
because you're giving it. I think the secret is volume over time. So it's what it does to the waveform. So where you've got like these sharp hits, like the big transients, where the soft clipper takes, it doesn't just sharp the edge, it just curves that edge off,
yeah,
which means you're kind of smudging the sound, which means it plays for longer at that height. So that's why it sounds louder.
yeah. Got you. So
And that's why it all sounds glued together because everything has been pushed past the line,
yeah,
had the head cut off, but just beveled off the edge.
Yeah.
So it's a synthetic hardness in a way. So I don't even bother with saturation. I play around with a bit of compression sometimes, but I'm sure that's probably just me farting about and not adding anything positive to it. Just maybe an alteration in the way the sound works. But it's all about that clipping.
Yeah.
It really is. And that's the drum. And like I say, because of that pushing the signal and clipping it, I think that's the key to my overall whole mix is that control over everything. It's like I've got target numbers for each of those three buses.
Yeah.
It's a very crude outline, but like saying -5 on there, -10 on the bass,
Got you.
and you certainly don't want that third remaining channel to be louder than those two.
No. No.
And that seems to work as a formula. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
when that all sums up into the master channel, very limited. Well, not limited because I don't limit it. I have a limiter there just to catch any peaks. I'll run it through like just a real basic 2-band EQ at this point. Just roll off the 30,
Yeah.
roll off the 20k,
Yeah.
just to get. Just can't. You just don't need it. You're not going to hear it, are you?
No. No.
And I think you're safe at both of those points to not, you know, greatly alter anything. And then and I don't do anything. For my own self masters, I then clip it all again. So you take that whole signal, clip that again,
Got you.
then put a limiter on. I put no drive on the limiter. I'm just literally using it to catch a true peak.
Yeah.
Then
Just
you
to
put the
put it
last
at a
limiter
level.
on.
Yeah.
And I found like my just general approach now, without even trying, I'm hitting like -7, -6 LUFS.
Yeah.
Which I could push it, but I think that's the limit for me now. Even if people do get louder and louder, I think after -7 LUFS, it is.
Doesn't
It's a
need
mess.
to be. Yeah. It doesn't
Yeah.
need to be louder than that, does it?
It doesn't. And then, some of the feedback on the last release, the last album, all about the music, there's some people, some of these tracks are a bit quieter. I'm thinking, yeah, they probably are.
Turn the gain up when you're mixing it then.
Yeah, so they are. That's what the trim knobs for.
Yeah, exactly.
But and I think that's telling of the journey, in the production. I think I just naturally got louder, not because I was chasing it, but just because of using those certain clean techniques. The end result is you get like quite a good sum at the end because you've controlled everything in a certain way and you've aimed for levels which allow the appropriate headroom. And then all of a sudden that LUFS meter isn't your enemy anymore. You're like, you're hitting like FE levels, you're hitting. I'm not professing to be like any of the guys out there that do mastering for us and whatnot, because that's a different skill altogether. But the one thing I took from Heist that I do believe firmly is you don't need to be a mastering engineer in this game, though.
No.
If you can go straight to record because we're trying to make loud, punchy music. That's just one like feather in the cap of a mastering engineer to be able to do that. I'm not professing to be a master engineer, but when it comes to drum and bass and jungle, I know how to make it fucking slap and loud.
Yeah.
And that's the brief, isn't it? To stand up to the other
100%.
releases out there.
100%. If you can, and I think that's the reality of it as well, isn't it? When you're making the tunes, and I think this is why we kind of know that this happens within our little circle, but we don't ever really talk about it. But we all make our tunes, bounce them down, and then have a mix with them to see whether it's going to work with other tunes. Because if you don't do that, you don't exactly. You don't know what, or you'll compare it. Like someone will send you a track, and believe it or not, one of the tracks that I was sent more recently that I was actually really, really impressed with was the release that Scott Devotion put out, or 24 Karat put out last month with Scott Devotion.
Yeah, and I love his stuff.
Yeah,
he's an excellent producer, mate. Yeah,
and the volume and clarity on that, I was just like, that literally slaps. The bass is proper pushing through, but it's not. There's no muddiness in it. But he's using dirty.
You just want to hear that on the system,
exactly. And it's just like I was really impressed with that. I was like, that's a quality sound that's coming out of there. And I think that's the reality is you got to sit down and you got to push yourself to be able to get as loud and clear and clean as you can whilst you're making this dirty fucking noise, because that's what it is, isn't it? Basically,
and that's where the arrangement comes into it. Like give everything its own room, and it's not as hard. I mean, a lot of people put themselves off because they're trying to force an arrangement that someone needs to tell them, no, don't do it. Change your
less
arrangement.
is more.
You know?
Less is more, and I think we all know that, don't we?
Yeah.
The most, I think the least amount of tracks that I've put together and actually sort of said, that's a finished article, is probably 5 tracks, and I've gone, I just don't need any more than that. And that might be like, when I'm like saying 5 tracks, there'll be like a little bit of grouping with it. So like the Atmos type effects, if you like, you're going to put all those into one group as opposed to it being,
and then getting to share like the spatial effect. Like I like to push everything through one reverb, because that again is makes it very coherent. You know, and then it's also good on processing. If you see what I mean. So I tend to do my effects via the bus channels. Yeah. Unless it's a bit of a sound design session, you know what I mean? Yeah,
and then it's just playing and learning.
It is. Or cycling kick drums, or trying to find that sample or sound that gives you the inspiration.
Yeah. I was working with someone recently, and they was working on a track, and I said, look, the snare's not right. And you know, we've all been there, haven't we?
The more you focus on snares, the more fucking shit you realise.
And exactly, and I said to this guy, I said, you got a box of snares? And he went, have I got a box of snares? We've all got a fucking box of snares. I said, then just like, let's have a play with a box of snares then.
Roll it in.
And then, to be fair, so you're just going to go through it one at a time. I said, that's how you do it. That is what you do to find the right snare. You just got to roll through that box of snares, and then you might find one that sounds almost right for the track, and then you need to do a little bit of processing with it, or a little bit of EQing or editing to then get it to really fit into the track.
I'm looking for one that I need to do fuck all too.
Yeah, exactly. They're the best ones, aren't they? Where you just scroll through and then you find one and you go, that's the one, that fits. It fits into the brilliant. That'll do. Yeah. I'll prefer those ones. They make making music a lot easier.
And then those sessions at 2 hours you write a tune. I love them ones. The tune writes itself. Yeah. And that's when sound selection just happens to be in a really positive rhythm, that you're going from one good selection to another. I do think there's something that drives that, and equally, you can, if you're on the other side of that coin, you can keep going from bad thing to bad thing. Yeah. But yeah, those days you catch the good. Go to this next folder, 2 sounds in, you find the one. Yeah. Next sound layer you want to think about. You just very quickly find everything that seems to work together. I love those days. That's a challenge.
I had a track in 2024 that I spent 5 hours when I was on the train back from Stockport. Spent 5 hours cutting this Cuban sample, which I put into a jungle-esque type track. It's not jungle but it's at 160 and it's the beats aren't jungle and all the rest of it. And it was released on my album last year. But I'd spent these 5 hours chopping the fuck out of the Cuban. It was a sax and some percussion noises, basically chopping the fuck out of those, and then put the first 2.5 minutes of arrangement together with the drums and the bass. And I rendered it. I played it to Gaz over in Australia. Went, yeah, man, that's a vibe. That is. And I got home, plugged in my laptop into my studio. Got up the next day, went to work on it, and the laptop was like, no, I'm not doing anything. And it literally didn't work at all. And I hadn't even saved it, and I had to just literally restart my laptop, and I lost 5 hours worth of music.
That's happened to everyone. I think that is your rite of passage as a producer.
Yeah, definitely.
I've got music out there that I couldn't recreate it now. Like some stuff is literally reduced down to the master that I've got. Yeah. I've got one.
Recently, I bought a 10 terabyte hard drive from China recently, and I was starting to put stuff on there. And as a track that I was making with Stapler, and it was like my little test of let's put a project file on there, and it absolutely killed the project. Everything was gone, but I'd already mastered a version that was So I said to me, you still got the files for that? I'd like to have a look. I was like, no, that died to death. That's it. You've got to master it. That's it. That's the one. But yeah.
Anyway, let's have a little change of location.
Change of location. Lovely stuff. Yeah. Right, so Yeah, right. My next question. So I've got two here. One of them is about labels you've worked with. So you'd mentioned another label other than 24K a little bit
Yeah,
earlier.
cool.
So what other labels have you worked with?
I've worked with Vibes Recordings,
Yeah.
they're from back in the day, so I'm still waiting for some of the releases to come out with them. Yeah, I was
Got
very
you.
happy to get signed to them. Can you hear me all right?
It's
I don't know if
it's
my signal's
glitching a
going a
little
bit
bit. I can
funny.
hear you, but the video's going a little bit.
All right, it should settle down a bit. Yes, so working with Vibes recently,
Yeah.
got some releases coming up with them. Had a couple of bits with Collab Recordings. Had some bits out of various compilations with Subliminal Records.
Nice.
And yeah, I've been sort of talking to Ben and Dan who run that label. They're keen for me to do some music with them, and this is like where I mean, this Karat, I want to get down and get some stuff written, but
Yep.
yeah, I'm having some. Yeah, you sit down something and you just can't get the inspiration, you know. So, but I'm not killing myself for it.
No,
Yeah, I'm
you
sure that
can't.
offers good. I don't think it's going to be like, oh well, you didn't do it in time. Fuck off. If it's right, I'm sure they'll snap it up.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the.
And I don't want to sex either. So
Yeah, I'm losing you
yeah,
again.
so really that's it in the pipeline at the moment
Yep.
for other labels, and then oh sorry, yeah,
No, no, it's all right. So
I'll
you're
get
back
back
again
inside. I
now. I
think
lost you for a second. It was about like
my
one or two
nicotine
seconds.
addiction.
No, fair enough.
Yeah,
So the next question
should be
is
alright.
this is
Yeah, go on.
a question that I've asked everybody, but it's quite a biggie. So what would your life be like without music? And I know it's quite easy to anyone could say yeah, well I just like you know it's quite a weird question, isn't it? If you
Do you know
think
what?
about it.
I'd probably be all right, but I would probably have less joy.
Mm,
You know, and I think I probably come close to it because during that period of life when I was probably like more of an NPC, if you were, like didn't really listen to music or really have much idea of what was coming out in music,
yeah,
and then I really realised, my God, I was missing this. This makes me feel better.
yeah,
This makes me feel like mentally better.
yeah,
Just having music to listen to, and that's just as a listener. So yeah, I think it's just a bonus when you can participate in
yeah, yeah, definitely,
as well.
definitely. I mean, as a creative person, I think if you can get your whether it be your sound or your art, whatever it is that moves you, if you can get that out into the world, it's quite a big thing. Right, so my next question for you. Um, oh, yeah, it's my silly question. I forgot I'd added this in
Oh,
there.
go on.
So you was a guitarist in your early days, right? So during the 90s, 80s, 90s, as a guitarist, did you did
Yeah, I
you
know
ever
what's coming
did you
there.
ever wear a crop top or any of the glam type guitar
No,
stuff,
yeah, I was
or was
more
you
grunge, if
more
anything.
grunge? Got you,
I had the Doc Martin boots, flannel shirts,
got you.
yeah,
So
slim
more along
shorts,
the Nirvana type vibe.
yeah, hair down to here.
Yeah.
I had a great mane of hair. Yeah, yeah,
Good stuff. Good stuff.
yeah, grunge kid.
So it was a good. To be fair, it was a good period of music, wasn't it? Really, all of the sort of early
Oh, I
'90s,
loved it.
Nirvana and Pearl Jam, some really quality sounds. We could go off on a whole different tangent talking about
A
that
whole
that
different
scene.
tangent. But
Um,
again, the world's blended, didn't they? Because
yeah,
like you could like all that and go raving,
yeah,
and
and with the same people
it
as
was all
well.
good.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. It just it doesn't feel like that anymore. Anyway, so how did you get into 24 Karat recordings? What moved you into that direction?
I sent a couple of tunes to Danny. I think
Yeah,
literally this was just finding my way on Facebook. Really, not a lot of producing. I've done a couple of tracks, and I think literally, yeah, I can't remember if someone had done a post and there'd been a comment, and Danny had commented as well.
yeah,
And somehow I ended up just getting on a chat. Oh, well, I'll do some stuff. And I sent him a couple of tunes, and I happened to be the right couple of tunes at that point. And yeah, he's kind of right. You're on. You're in. In that week I was added to that The famous chat.
The famous chat.
And not look back, really. Yeah.
It's quite an accolade, really, isn't it, when you think about it, to be
6
in that
years
24
ago.
carat chat.
I like to think I was part of the early resurrection crew,
Definitely. Yeah, I've only been in there for about 3 years, but yes, it is definitely. I was quite. I mean, I kind of talked about this a little bit with Gaz when I spoke with Gaz, but like, when I first was introduced to that chat, I felt 100% like a fanboy. Do you know what I mean? It was like everyone that was in there was like, "Oh my fucking god!" I'm in a chat with, and it's quite sort of eye raising, and it makes you realise that the people that you may have thought were your heroes are actually your peers. You've got to shift the way you think about these things, haven't you? Yeah. Have you done much in the way of collaborative work?
I never look back on it actually. Although I've done things with other labels,
Sorry, the line glitched on us there.
Karat is my home label, really.
I've just interrupted you there.
Oh, can you hear anyone?
Yeah, I can hear you again now. Sorry, it glitched and you was talking, and I started asking you another question. My bad. But yeah, 24 carat is like it's like the home, isn't it?
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. I'm shit. I'm a shit collaborator, really. I suppose. So I haven't done any. I like to just do it. You know what I mean? I'm one of them.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough, really.
No, I've not really done collaboration. You create your own music, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Alone. Stuff with other people.
And that's fair.
Sorry,
that's right.
Keep losing the stand.
Yeah, it keeps going a little bit. It's
Yeah.
I mean, collaborative work is I do quite a lot of it. I find it quite interesting. But in the same token, I'd done a load of collaborative work, and then I got really sort of like frustrated with collaborative work, and I was then what I'd kind of done was I spent about a year making music that I wanted to make and having featured artists rather than, because it was just like, I want other people's sounds in there, but I actually don't want it. I don't want someone else to kind of put their influence. I want me to just kind of arrange it all. So it became like a featured as opposed to collaborative, and I felt bad in a way, but I was like, it's something I had to do. I had to kind of like the tunes, if you like, had to be my composition as opposed to it being a collaborative piece of work. But yeah, it was all well received, and I was really upfront with everyone that I worked with and said, look, it's, I'll give you credit for it, but I just want you to play a bit guitar or do a bit of singing or do a bit of this, and it was never.
That's it. I think the only true collaboration is when you actually play live with someone, and that's the world I'm from for collaboration, like from that guitar world, and you can't do that with the words. It's either here's half a tune, finish it, or and then you either get something and think, and you end up writing your own tune anyway.
You can do, yeah. There's a few people I've worked with where there's been that half and half, but yeah, not often. Right, so I've got two little bits left. So firstly, what are your top 2 tracks from 24 Karat recordings, and then if you've got any shout outs you wanna do.
Yeah, go on. I think one that's always stuck with me is Stapler's first release.
Yeah,
I really rate that.
Yeah,
the tunes on that release. You got it?
Yeah. I know the one. Yeah, that's
and I'm really feeling Danny's latest release as well. I forget what it's called. What is it to do with? He's coming up with some proper absurd titles lately.
The Midge approved one, or as if he's got a few. He kind of sneaks.
I lost your sound again a bit.
Yeah. So is it the Midge approved one by Danny?
What was that, mate? Sorry, go on.
Is it the Midge approved release that Danny done? I mean, we might have to wrap up this interview.
This sounds really not working out.
It's not. It's not.
It's freezing on us.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. I think mine. It looks like it could be a combination of both internets not being very nice. I'll tell you what I'll do because you're frozen at the moment. I'm going to wrap it up here. Oh, yeah.
There we go. Connection restored.
You're still frozen on mine. I can hear you. No, you're gone again.
You're back now.
I'm back, right, okay.
Right, well, shout outs. You did say I heard that.
Yeah,
so on. I would definitely shout out Jim Ice. I'll definitely shout out Danny Styles.
Yeah.
Shout out Chris in Perspective.
Yep.
Out in Rotterdam, doing his thing. And just, probably 1,000 people I'll forget. But just anyone that's involved and anyone that's ever listened to my music, massive shout out to them.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
But mostly you lot, really, because we're always there for each other, aren't we? The 24
Karat
family. So,
yeah, it's definitely, yeah.
Pleasure talking to you, Jonathan. Thanks for having me on.
And yourself as well. I'll no doubt be speaking to you at some point in the 24K chat anyway.
Okay.
I'll hit the stop button.
Yeah, post it on.
But yeah, this will be up on YouTube for everyone to sort of catch up with. It was really nice speaking to you. It's the first time, as you said before, we actually started the recording. We've not actually sat down and had a chat before, so it's quite. It's good. I think we need to do something. 24
Karat. Nice to meet you, probably.
Yeah, definitely. But I think we should try and get some kind of 24 Karat night event of some sort, like a club event of some sort.
The Messenger was doing it. Messenger did all right to start with, didn't it?
It did.
It just starts breaking up at the end.
Falling apart on us.
So no, I think we got some good stuff there. Already.
Yeah.
I'll listen back and probably go, what was I going on about? I'm a waffler. Right. Have a cracking evening, mate.
You as well. You as well. Take care.
Yeah. All the best, mate. Bye.
All right, see ya. Bye.